Yes, my G's, how are you guys doing? Today I've got a great ARP for you in Serum 2, which I've called the Bunker Rave Arp. Let's have a little listen to how it sounds first, and then I'll break down the sound design. So yeah, one of my favourite ARPs that I've made so far. Beg my pardon. We've got a lot of effects on this one, as usual. And yeah, we've got two filters going on. We've got a bit of noise. We've got two oscillators and a sub. And we've got a bit of movement on one LFO. But obviously the main movement is coming down here in the ARP. So, yes, let's talk about the ARP first. So over here on the pattern, I've selected up as the shape, and then the BPM is set to 1/8. And then this is the important part, the transpose. I've just set the shift on 12 and the range on 2. And that is that's created the melody, essentially, just doing that. I've also got the gate here. The gate is sort of how long the notes are. I've got that at 85, and there's a little bit of movement on that. So the actual length of the notes is it's only I think it's about 2%. Yeah, 2% either way. Yeah, so the ARP will the length of the notes will slightly get shorter and longer on this LFO. So this is the LFO 1, and it's quite a fast one, 1/4, just a sort of triangle. And yeah, that basically is modulating, like I mentioned, the gate of the ARP. So each note will be very, very slightly shorter or longer. So it just will have a bit more of a natural feeling, you know. But that's basically the ARP, really. That's kind of only the only settings that I've adjusted in the ARP section, and it already has a nice melody to it. So pretty easy, and now it's just a case of designing the sound to actually sound nice. Nice sound design. So we've got a sub bass -2 on the sine wave here, and this is actually a triangle up here. It's at -1, so it's an octave higher than the sub, and it's got unison on it. And then the oscillator B is a saw wave. This one with no unison, and it's actually an octave lower than the triangle, so it's actually the same octave as the sub, as the sine sub bass, you know. So that's the basis for the sound, but it's a bit dry and a bit nasty still. So next I put some white noise in as well. The level is only up to about 22%. But it follows the ARP, you know, so it's injecting this little bit of noise alongside the rhythm of the actual ARP. Then we've got filter 1. This is a notch filter. And it starts off, as you see, around just under 100 hertz and goes up to 450. And the drive is set quite high, and it's going on everything. And that actually makes quite a massive difference. It massively boosts the low end and the high end, and puts a nice movement in the mid-range. But what it also does is it slightly changes the tone of the sound and slightly improves the character, makes it a little bit more drum and bass in a sense. That's the nature of the notch filter for you. The output of the filter set to filter 2, and what that means is over here, I can refilter things again. And I've done a similar range of motion. It's sort of between 136 and 637, the movement. So again, the sort of low mid range. Moving again on this fast LFO, and this time with the phaser 48 plus filter with a little bit of drive, 13%. And that takes it yet another step further into refining the character of the sound and gives it almost a slightly vowel sounding effect. Not too extreme though, but it's kind of targeting the low mid-range frequencies and creating enough interest in them so that it's just not so bland. Yeah, it just puts a lot of life into it, you know? So those filters are great. That's basically actually all I do. I don't think I even used any FM routing in this one. It was pretty nice already. So the rest of the process now is basically just enhancing the sound quality and the stereo image. So the Bode is a great plugin that it's like sort of like I believe it's like a frequency shifter, right? But it creates new harmonics and it's almost like a chorus as well. Yeah, this is quite a big one. So basically, that's how it sounds full on, but then you kind of lost a bit of the dry power. It doesn't always work so well when I mix the Bode in on the dry wet. I've had experiences with it where if I've either had to have it at 0 or 100 and in the middle just wasn't really working, but this time it kind of did. So yeah, the Bode is set to about 35%, the blur is up here at 56%, and I've toyed a little bit with the range over here as well, brought that up to 96 Hertz. But yeah, gives it a whole new layer of stereo harmonics all the way throughout the frequency spectrum. And yeah, just gives massively changes the stereo image. The hyper dimensions is a similar thing. One part with the hyper adding a detuned flavor, and a little bit of a part of the dimension adding an extra width onto everything again. Yeah, big changes there, big changes. Flanger as well, gone quite high this time, 35%. Again, giving it that changing slight pitch changes over time, so the ARP is a little bit more I don't want to say random, but kind of is a bit more random as it goes along. Convolve, I've used the Growlish. This is a great one as well. Quite a powerful convolution. It's got a good length to it, a nice body, at about 11%. We've got some tiny little delay tails here as well. So just done off the grid, these nice little ping pong delays, but they're only about 13%. So they're very, very subtle, those ones. A touch of filtering again. This is the peak mode here, and it's so sort of like a notch filter, but not cutting out everything, just a little EQ kind of dip. Around 318 Hertz. I haven't actually put any movement on this one, so it's basically it's almost essentially like an EQ subtractive EQ. Basically, I've taken out a bit of frequencies around 318, and I've driven it up a very, very slight amount. Yeah, it's kind of refining it very, very subtly there, but positive difference though. Makes it a bit tighter, you know. Splitter low-high next with a distortion on the highs only at 1000 Hertz and above, approximately. Using the Diode 2, which is a great distortion setting I like a lot, and that one always amplifies the high end quite nicely. And then I've mixed the actual distortion in on the LFO as well, and it only goes up to about 34% from 0, but it's definitely enough. It's definitely enough to add. It almost adds like an extra 10 to 20% of kind of brightness boosting saturation to the sound. It's not the character. It's not really a character changing distortion, this one. It's more of a saturation push for the volume and life. And then finally, another touch of EQ. And here I've done a little boost around 600 hertz, just over. And this is just me getting more it's a technical fiddly, just trying to make sure the whole sound sounds really nice and full across the spectrum, and just every part of the spectrum is kind of sitting in a nice spot. So that's just a little sort of mastering tweak, you know. But that's basically the effects that I did, and yeah, it's a great sound, and it was really quite easy using the ARP, because all I really did was put the shift on 12, the range on 2, and the transpose was on up, and it already had a great melody. I didn't have to do anything else. So I just thought, because that is a sort of melody that would work quite well in drum and bass, because it's like relatively simple, you know, to keep, yeah, not complicate things on the dance floor too much. But yeah, that kind of sound is like that kind of riff, you know, is already sounding pretty nice. And yeah, you could easily chop some little bits out of that and use parts of it, or just use the whole thing like I'm here, and I think it still sounds great. But anyway, my G's, yes, that is the Bunker Rave Arp today. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you learned a little bit. I'm still getting used to learning all of the ins and outs of the ARP section. I've only made a few ARPs so far, but this is probably my favourite sounding one. I think I nailed the sound design in this one to make it very modern and aggressive and drum and bass flavoured. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Yeah, thanks a lot for watching, my G's. Thanks for all your likes and subscribes and comments. I read every comment, and I really appreciate everyone who supports me on the channel. May I remind you as well, I've got a Serum preset pack called Rebirth available on my website. Plus, I've got loads of Vital preset packs, Phase Plant preset packs. Check out all that via the links down below. If you guys want any production sessions, you want me to be your personal mentor, you can book in via my calendar, also down in the links below. And finally, come along and join me on Patreon. I might drop this preset in there as a little exclusive one. I've got some other random free Serum presets in there already, and if you want to join our Discord, that's really where all of the action is, and you can join our feedback live streams, our group masterclasses, and all that kind of good stuff. Email me as well if you need any mastering work, info@artifactmusic.com. That's listed down below as well. All right, that's it from me today. More from me soon. Much love.